Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on Keeping It Real with Credit, live direct. Happy Wednesday, everybody, and good afternoon. Welcome to Keeping It Real with Credit. As you guys know, if you want to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, a little odd, right? Because I haven't done this in a while. But for the most part, guys, if you guys are new to this channel, feel free to comment, subscribe, share with family and friends. But for the most part, subscribe to the channel, right? Because on this channel, we talk a lot about credit, personal finance, tips and tricks on real estate, automotives, you name it. You're definitely going to go ahead and find it right here. So this live, I wanted to go ahead and bring that to you guys. With these lives, I usually take advantage of the opportunity to go ahead and talk directly to you guys about, credit and personal finance, right? And just overall education. In the meantime, also to give you guys the opportunity to let you guys know that I'm also conducting free credit evaluations, right? The free credit evaluations kind of gives you the opportunity to take a look into really in depth as to what's on your credit report, guys. So if you guys definitely want to go ahead and schedule a free evaluation, which should only take 20 minutes of your time, I'm going to go ahead and post right here the link. That's the link to my availability there at Score Shield Financial Group, so that you guys can schedule your free evaluation, right? For the most part, the evaluation is more or less going to consist of is taking like an in-depth look as to what's on your credit report. And what we do is that we go ahead and create this really detailed analysis, right, that we give you in the form of an email. It's a lot of pages with a lot of credit education, but more specifically, it kind of highlights all the negative factors that are currently affecting your score, right? So obviously it makes things easier. There's no guessing around that. These are the things holding your score back, and we'll be able to give you a plan of action as to what can actually be done. So whether you're going to do it yourself or you're going to hire us to do it, we'll be able to give you pricing as well, but there's no obligation to join the program. But we do include pricing in there for the most part, only because it gives you guys options, right? As to, what you can do, how you can go ahead and further strategize improving your credit score. In the meantime, guys, I highly encourage you guys to go ahead and ask away all of your credit questions so I can go ahead and, discuss them with you on here. And in the meantime, guys, I'm going to go ahead and, answer some questions, because throughout this week, I've been asking close friends, families, and even current clients exactly what would they like to know about credit, right? And I want to go ahead and share that with you guys here. In the meantime, like I mentioned, feel free to go ahead and include your questions on here so that we can go ahead and answer them live and direct. Also, guys, I'm going to also include the number to our offices, which is 888-424-0058. And that's option number one. If you want to speak to one of my credit analysts, they're available. And like I said, the link I've provided in the chat a little earlier, that shows you guys our availability. So lock in your appointments so that we can go ahead and schedule that free evaluations. In the meantime, Francisco Velez, what's going on, man? Welcome to the channel. Kim, how you doing? Marcus Agarvi, what's going on? Kim, once again, I see that you're asking the question. So in the meantime, as you guys are trickling in, let's go ahead and go with the first question, right? So the first question that I mostly get asked is, what is a good credit score, right? That's the magic question, right? Good credit score. I think that over time, I used to say in the past, anything over maybe a 650 or 680, but realistically, anything over a 720, right? Because when you get a 720 credit scores, you're always locked in at the best interest rates possible. It's where you start saving the most money. It's for the majority of the part, sign and drive, no money down, and a lot of doors are opened up to you, right? 720 is the credit score that I would say is considered a good credit. Anything over than that, obviously, it's great, right? And also, a lot of it has to do with how much money you're making, right? Your income or whatnot. Because again, banks want to see, as I discussed in my latest uploaded video, banks wants to see, the probabilities of you paying the loan back, right? Or the credit back as you're asking for it. So 720, guys, keep that in mind. 720 is where good credit is, and when you can start taking advantage of the best interest rates possible. If you're not there yet, then we need to figure out why, right? There's always something that we can do. Life is not over. So again, if you guys have anything lower than a 720 or below, we need to talk and do a free credit evaluation so we can take a look at what are the specific things holding you back, and why not try to maximize your score, right? The next question, before I move on to some of the questions I see on here, is what is the difference between a credit score and a credit report, right? Credit scores and a credit report. So what a credit score is, right, is basically just a number. That number is factored in through this mathematical calculations made by the Fair Isaac Corporation, right? And it's broken down into several factors. Again, the actual algorithm is something that's, I guess, real hidden or a secret. But for the most part, over time, I think we've gathered enough data to know that it's made out of several factors, right? Like payment history, availability of credit, inquiries, mixture of credit history, and things like that, right? All of those things contribute to what ultimately makes up your credit score, right? And the score is what lets lenders know, right, the probability of you paying your bills back on time, or paying the loan that they're trying to consider giving you payment on time, right, over time. The higher that number is, the less of a risk you are. The lower that number is, the higher the risk you are, right? And it ranges around 300 to an 850 credit score. What a credit report is basically just that, right? It's kind of like a progress report. It's kind of like your profile or your resume that lets banks know how have you been paying your bills or other responsibilities back on time, right? What names you've used, different variations, what your socials are, and then basically everything that's tied back into your social, right? And then obviously every 30 days it gets annotated whether you paid something on time or you didn't, how much of a balance you carried if it's on a credit card, how much you've used, so on and so forth, right? This gives banks or lenders a more of an in-depth look as to how you really are with paying your bills back on time. And they use all of that information to truly determine whether to give you the loan or not, and at what interest rate. And guys, one thing to pay attention is that, if we're on the lower credit side, there are banks, there are lenders that will help you out. They're very few, because obviously, everybody's in the business to make money. As a bank, I can understand why they want to lend to people that have a track record of paying back their bills on time, right? But for the most part, for those that do get approved at a lower credit score, the interest rates are going to be high and things can be really expensive, right? And so the idea behind that, and it almost seems like it doesn't even make sense, but the idea behind that is because if you have a low credit score, you may have a track record of not paying on time, maybe a few collections, maybe a few late payments a few years back. But for the most part, there's also people out there with lower credit scores that don't have enough credit. So in that sense, you're still considered a high risk, right? Nothing personal against you, but the bank doesn't have enough information to determine whether you're going to be able to pay the loan back on time, right? And also considering your income and things like that of that nature. So for the most part, if you do get approved at a lower credit score, the interest rate is going to be higher because they're trying to collect as much upfront because they're anticipating you not paying that loan back on time. So in a sense, every payment that you are going to make against that loan is going to be at a higher interest rate, and it's going to be pretty expensive only because, you got to prove yourself, right? Only because they're anticipating you disappearing or them not collecting, right? So hopefully that there makes sense. All right, guys, let's go ahead and answer some of you guys' questions on here. And in the meantime, guys, if you guys have any more specific questions, any more complicated questions or technical questions, feel free to call us at 888-424-0058. Option number 1. Right now, we have my credit analyst on site, ready to do a credit evaluation there for you. And if not, you can go ahead and once again, I'm going to go ahead and text the link to my appointment there, my availability there at the office, so you guys can go ahead and schedule the free evaluation. All right. So first question is from Kim M. Thank you, Kim. I know what's affecting me. What I don't know is how that they're able to list 3 items twice. These items are many years old, and how can I go about that, right? So that's a great question, Kim. There in some cases, I have never seen to this day accounts being duplicated or reporting more than once, other than if it's like a student loan. But even then, there are accounts reporting, right? They might be reporting, it might look the same, it might feel the same. However, it can be different companies reporting it. It can be the same company, but maybe different account numbers, things like that of that nature. Well, Kim, I think you would be a great candidate to take a better look at what we're having to deal with, right? The evaluation is free, but I'd love to take a look at your credit report to see more or less what is it that you're talking about. And if in fact there is some sort of duplicated account on there, there's obviously a discrepancy on there that we can prove against the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And those are no-brainers to get removed, right? Obviously, if it's clear as day, the clearer the violation against the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the easier it is, right? Because the Fair Credit Reporting Act states that if something's unverifiable, inaccurate, or incomplete, then it has to be corrected or removed, right? And obviously, the process of credit restoration is really looking in there with a fine-tooth comb, right? And leveraging all these laws and regulations and acts that really protect us as consumers to get these nasty negative collections off of your credit report. And obviously, when those things come off, like late payments, charge-offs, collections, then depending on what's remaining on your credit report, it'll definitely go up, right? So hopefully, Kim, that answers your question. Feel free if you need me to clarify further, but I think it might be best to do an evaluation to kind of clarify everything all at once with the details in front of us, right? And so again, it's only 20 minutes of your time, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Alancia Hall, hey, how you doing? And welcome to the channel. She's asking, should I pay off a repossession even if it's a charge-off, right? So that's a great question, guys. So let me take things back for a little bit, right? And so in the beginning, first things first, right? We all want to pay our bills on time. Whatever you can do to not have your account fall into default, do it, right? So pay your bills on time. However, I know that you don't got to convince me, right? I know that life happens, right? And especially in today's day and age with the pandemic, business is moving, closing down, firing, laying off people and all that stuff. The things happen, right? You can get hurt and not be able to work anymore. Things happen, all right? But it's when those things happen, you need to know that there's laws out there, there's rules and regulations out there that are designed to protect you, right? And at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you're good and that your family is good, and you're not really being stressed out between paying a debt collector that's annoying you and putting a roof over your head, right? Because circumstances do change. So, Alancia, my question to your question was, should I pay off a repossession? Well, my question to you is, what are you trying to do with your credit? And the reason why I ask you that, and I ask everybody that, is that we have to keep in mind, guys, and I've always said this in a lot of videos, let's keep in mind as to we need to understand what actually happens if you were to pay off that repossession and charge off, right? Now, depending on how old it is, depending on the information that's reporting on your credit report, sometimes it makes sense to do it. Other times it doesn't make sense to do it, especially if it's maybe past the statute of limitations, especially if it's close to the 5 or 7 year mark, because we already know that things that are on your credit report for 7 years should fall off anyways, right? And so what happens is if you were to pay that off, right, in your credit report, it'll get updated as paid. However, it's a paid repossession. Repossession is bad, whether it's paid or not, right? It shows the future lender that you've defaulted on a loan, right? Which might hold the next lender back from giving you a loan or a car, right? So it's based on that's not even there in the first place. So you could do two things. You can negotiate a payment for delete if that company or bank even offers that, or if that collection agency even offers that. But there's a risk, right? Because then in order for you to even negotiate that, then you run the risk of admitting to the debt, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that, but we just want to make sure that we're as safe as possible when we're dealing with these debts. Keep in mind, I'm not saying ignore the debt or not pay it, but we want to be strategic about this, right? Or what you can do is find out what the statute of limitation for that debt in your state, and find out if it's too late, right? And to my understanding, with the statute of limitations, it varies by state and type of debt. But for the most part, it's designed, but for the most part, after a statute of limitations has passed, that collection agency has basically given up the right to be able to sue you for that debt, right? Now, again, I'm not an attorney or whatnot. You want to go ahead and make sure you want to look that up. You want to research that. And you want to talk to a local consumer attorney if that does apply to you. But for the most part, that's basically what it is. Now, as far as paying off the repossession, when you pay it, let's say that repossession was on your credit report for a long period of time. When you pay it, what happens is it gets updated on your credit report that's paid, and it renews for another 7 years that repossession or charge off will remain on your credit report, thus harming the chances of you getting the next loan back, right? And so the reason why we have to think that way is because the credit scoring algorithm of today, right, what the banks are using to lend you money, they're using still the older FICO scoring models. And the older FICO scoring models still calculate against your credit score a collection, a repossession, a charge off, whether it's paid or not, as still negatively impacting your score. So ultimately, what we're really trying to do is to get that repossession or charge off removed, which can happen even if it's been there for a few years, even if it actually really did happen to you. So what we want to do is that we want to do our due diligence, right? Whether you do it yourself or you hire a credit restoration company like ours, you want to go ahead and make sure that they have all their ducks in a row. Hey, send me more information on this repossession, right? Not even prove to me, right? Because we're not coming from a perspective of like, that doesn't belong to me, but send me the information. Because did you know, guys, that 1 out of every 5 Americans in the US have an error on their credit report large enough to cause them to be denied when they should have been approved? Or you're paying a higher interest rate when you shouldn't have, just because of errors or discrepancies within the credit report. See, these rules and regulations like the Fair Credit Reporting Act wouldn't exist if they didn't know that there's a lot of errors on people's credit reports and people don't even know it. That's why the Fair Credit Reporting Act states that if something's unverifiable, inaccurate, or incomplete, it must be corrected or removed. I had a repossession way back when, especially when I got out of the Marine Corps. And in that process, it was hard for me to acclimate and move over and find even a job, right? And so, I was tight on money. My car did get repossessed. It was taken. They'd had every right to do so. But when I started learning about credit and I started testing things out on myself, I decided to dispute my repossession. And guess what? I found a discrepancy. So that bank that I used to get my repossession with, that I got the repossession with, they sent me a huge packet like this, right? Proving to me, hey, look, this is you. Other people might have given up on that, but I was determined because I wanted to learn. So page by page, I was looking through that, and I found that one, they couldn't verify my signature when I followed up after I responded to that package that they sent me. But here's was the key. When your car is repossessed, the tow truck company is supposed to let the local police department know that this car at this time was taken. Sort of like a little report, right? That they have to annotate on there. So that when you leave outside your house and your car is not there and you call the cops, they're not scrambling around. The cops already know, look, man, your car got repossessed. However, they couldn't generate that report. And because of those two things, I was able to give my repossession off of my credit report, even though it actually happened to me. That's not my fault. That's actually the bank's fault, right? And since then, I've been leasing and financing cars, and I've been thankful for that opportunity. And now I've been paying all my bills with my cars on time, every time. But that just goes to show that there's an opportunity in there, right? So the question to you is, you asked, should I pay my repossession? And my question to you is, it depends. What is it that you're trying to do with your credit? If you're not looking to use your credit here in the near future, then pay it. But it's going to report as paid repossession, which is still negatively impacting your score, and you can potentially hold you back for the next few years. Or you can still have the intent to pay it, right? But before we pay it, before we give account numbers, money, we go into our pocket, let's go ahead and do our due diligence, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that, and request documentation the right way and compare that with what the rules and regulations are that protect you, if that makes sense, right? I know I went a little bit off track, but let me know if that information was useful. For the most part, Alancia, I think I can give you a even more accurate response if I'm able to look at your credit report. So you would be a great candidate also for the free valuation, because if not, we're just guessing, right? But for the most part, I'd love to give you some more advice on that. Feel free to schedule an evaluation with us with the link that's on there, or call us at 888-424-0058, option number 1 right now, and get your free consultation. Hopefully that helps there. Let me see here. Kim, good, thank you. I hope you're well and happy, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you too, Kim. Thank you so much for, excuse me. Francisco Velez asked, how come in my case, the FICO score model is significantly lower than my Vantage score? That's a great question, right? So remember, there's a FICO score, there's Vantage scores, and there's other scores, right? But for the most part, the industry standard leader, the ones that every bank is using, is FICO scores. However, you're saying that you're looking at your scores through a FICO score model 8. Not every bank and lender uses a FICO score model 8 to calculate your credit score and use it to determine whether to give you a loan or not. All right. Vantage score, however, is separate from FICO, and their algorithm for factoring or calculating credit is way different than FICO. Right. That's why you have different scores, because each of these models factor in credit differently within their algorithm, which is dictated by what's on your credit report, right? So I tell people, don't be score driven, right? Doesn't matter what your score is. I mean, it does matter, but for the most part, what matters more is what's on your credit report, how it's reporting. So if we know that we've always paid our bills on time, we don't have any collections, we have a great diversified credit portfolio, meaning we got a car loan here or lease, a home, some credit cards, and we're paying all these things on time, banks love to see that. And if you're paying those things on time, then ultimately your score is going to be up no matter what scoring model you use, right? You'll definitely be able to take advantage of that. So Francisco, I hope that answers your question on there. Big Kev, what's going on, man? He asked, what if you have a lot of medical bills? Beautiful. And I've said this in the past before, we have a lot of fun with these medical bills. Why? Because I want to be careful with saying it's one of the most easiest things and one of the most funnest things and that we're able to remove, right? That we're able to remove. And let me explain to you why. Big Kev, check this out, man, because you might learn something here. When it comes to medical bills, right? We have to keep in mind that when we dispute an item with the credit bureaus or the collection agencies or the hospitals, whatever, when we're disputing something, we're basically asking, first of all, we're not denying that doesn't belong to us. We're simply asking, collection agency, prove to me that I owe you this debt. Show me the contract, the agreement, the signature, with a description of product or services that you claim that I rendered from you. In this case, medical assistance or attention, right? Prove to me, and you have 30 days to do so, because based on the Fair Credit Reporting Act, there is a guideline as what is considered sufficient proof of debt, right? Validation of debt. Validation of debt is what you're basically asking for, right? However, there's something that's called the HIPAA laws. HIPAA, right? meaning nobody's allowed to see your medical records unless you give permission or you sign off on it. So when you're telling collection agencies to prove that you owe the debt, that you want to see it all, they might be very limited to what they can provide to you, because if they do provide an itemized bill, right, of what was charged and why, or I mean, that's pretty much the only thing they can provide at that point, that may be considered a HIPAA violation, right? A release of your medical records in some way, shape, or form. And so that ultimately delays the amount of proof, sufficient proof, that they're able to provide within that 30 to 45 day time frame. And if they miss that time, then obviously that has to get removed, or we can make the argument the next round that they didn't provide sufficient proof in a sufficient amount of time, therefore this needs to get removed, right? That's why we have a lot of fun with those, because we know when we see medical collections that no matter who we're disputing against, they're going to be limited to the amount of proof that we're requesting, right? And there's going to be delays because of that. So Big Kev, I hope that gives you some sort of clarity. And again, schedule the free evaluation, because I love to take more in detail, more of a detailed look as to how they're reporting and what they're saying, to further feel confident that those medical collections are going to get removed from your credit report, brother. So let me know. Once again, guys, feel free to call the number 888-424-0058, or I'm going to put that here again, guys, and I'm going to get to your questions because I see them coming through. That is the link to my availability for a free evaluation with myself or my team, so that we can go ahead and make that happen. All right, so here we go. Kim M, the companies are the same and the amounts are the same. I think she was referring to the other question that we answered, but she was good on there. Alancia Hall, thank you, and thank you for welcoming me. No problem. Thank you for your question regarding your repossession. Sean Bailey, what's up, brother? What's going on? Alancia, I'm trying to build it up to purchase another vehicle to. Yep. So if you want to purchase another vehicle, be very careful of how you deal strategically with this repossession, because if that repossession remains on your credit report, it may be very difficult to finance or lease a car unless you're buying a car cash. That's basically up to you. So having that repossession on there and trying to ask for a loan after that might be difficult. And if you do get approved, it's going to be at a really crazy high interest rate, which when it comes to cars, it might not make sense to continue to pay that car because you'll be upside down and more. All right. Sean Bailey, hey, you guys are working on my file, but I haven't seen any progress. I wanted to know if you could look into my profile personally. Sean, actually, I did see your comment there on YouTube before on stories. However, my processing department mentioned to me that you just started literally, I believe a month ago, or let's say in October. So there still might be some time. However, I have my processing department on it, but you can ask them directly, right? And I'll make sure that they speak to you today. You can call them at 888-424-0058, option number 2, and speak to Giovanna. Giovanna is my office manager and my processing manager. She oversees all of that. And so make sure to look into that, brother. But again, when it comes to the credit restoration process, be patient, because everything is a process. Everything is first of all, we have to test and see what information they actually have available. What documentation do they have? And the only way to uncover that is to literally trigger in a dispute, waiting to see what comes back. And then based on that, we'll be able to determine what is the next steps. In a lot of cases, things are done in the 30, 45 days. However, that doesn't apply for everybody. Some people, it takes a little bit more. But for the most part, that's why I love that we're one of the few companies that will dispute all items all at once on a month-to-month basis. Other companies, out of, let's say, 20 negative items, are only disputing 5 at a time. Like one of the biggest ones out there, which I have a lot of people converting from that company over to ours because they've been 2-3 years into their program, and that's ridiculous. There's a guy that was 12 years with that company, and came over to us, and we got him hooked up in about 3 months or so. But it's crazy to be 12 years with a company and they're not doing much, right? So pay attention, guys. Pay attention. All right, here we go. Alancia Hall answered your question. Marcus Garvey, what if you have poor credit, no income, and negative items on your credit? Can you purchase a trade line to get credit to buy equipment to start a business? I love where you're coming from on there. I love when you're coming from on there because this is one of the key things that I want to teach people, right? I don't want people to just want to fix their credit score, pursue a higher credit score just to qualify for their home and their car. Because even though those things are important and they're valuable, but at the same time, you're pretty much going through all that work for liabilities. But what if you can increase your credit score and have access to higher loans, higher lines of credits, which you can then invest that into businesses, into opportunities that'll make you money passively, right? So Marcus, let me read the question again. What if you have poor credit, no income, and negative items on your credit report? Can you purchase a trade line to get credit to buy equipment to start a business? You can. However, you said something there that's key. No income. So first of all, you need income to buy a trade line or to do credit restoration, whether you hire a company or you do it yourself, right? But for the most part, think about it. You're looking to buy equipment to start a business, right? If you get approved for that loan to buy the equipment for your business, that's money you're going to have to pay back. And you just stated no income. So when people come to me and they say, I have no income, but I want to fix my credit. Well, what are you trying to fix your credit for? It's clear here that you're trying to start a business. But keep in mind, if you have no income, then banks may not approve you, right? May not approve you if you don't even have a checking account. So if you're looking to increase your credit score for the purposes of leveraging your credit for a business, you need income. Let's say you do have income, then I would definitely get those negative items removed, because even if you were to buy a trade line, let's say you buy a trade line and you still have those negative items on your credit report, that trade line is not going to have much of an impact, because 35% of your credit score is payment history. And if you have a lot of negative items on your credit report, like collections, that's a negative reflection of your payment history, right? Therefore, it's going to trump the trade line that's on there. So what would be strategic is to get those items removed, then purchase a trade line that's going to increase your credit score, and you'll be a lot more attractive at the best interest rates for the bank that's going to lend you the money or the credit card, right? So hopefully that helps. Marcus, please go ahead and give us a call for the free credit evaluation to give you some more detailed analysis onto your situation and a better plan of attack. And again, it's an analysis that you take home with you. All right. Here we go. Anjayana, and I'm sorry if I messed up your name. Hey, I'd like to ask a question. Go ahead. Let me see here. She asked, they asked, I have two things. One is a debt buyer that has a debt on there that is over 6 years old. And they even say on the notice, they cannot sue me, but they're putting it on my credit report. That's beautiful, right? So that's clear as day what I was stating before, the statute of limitations. That debt is past the statute of limitations. And for the majority of states, collectors are required to put that on the notice they send you, right? So that obviously is a debt that's way past the statute of limitations. They can't even sue you for it. And it's 6 years old. Items get removed off of your credit report after 7. So in that case, see, if you were to pay that account now, you would restart that collection on your credit report for the next 7 years. So you'll have a paid negative account on your credit report for the next 7 years. It might just be cheaper to wait it out and wait till that falls off of your credit report. They can't sue you anyways. Or you can go through the process of credit restoration again with a company like ours or on your own, because in my experience, the longer an account has been on your credit report, the less impact and the less probable they're going to be able to prove what you're asking for. And it might come off that much easier. So hopefully that helps. They also asked, the other thing is I changed insurance companies. So the old company decided to have it in collections with CSC in Massachusetts. So again, same way, we would dispute it. First, we would need to verify what information that they have, how tight, how concrete their information is. And if there's a crack, we're going to find it, and that account is going to be removed. Your score is going to go up. So feel free to schedule a free evaluation to take a better look as to what I'm seeing on there, right? You should not contact them over the phone at all. And it's still on there, and it says debt buyer. That's okay. I would communicate only via letter, via the dispute. And again, guys, feel free to give us a call for the free evaluation, because we'll be able to take a look at better at that. And I'll definitely be able to give you more insight as to what actually can be done. All right. Big Kev, another question. What's going on, man? All right. So just purchased a vehicle. All right. And I was hit with a high interest rate, probably due to your bad credit. That's all right though. But they told me to pay on time for 6 months and come back, and I can get a lower interest rate. Is that true? In a lot of cases, that may be true. A lot of these dealerships that sell cars to people with bad credit do a lot of the financing on their own, right? So that's something you got to pay attention to, right? You got to do a lot of the financing on their own. So if they're doing their own financing, then that's a probability, and I would take them up on that. But for the most part, if you're paying a high interest rate, that's again because of the bad credit. So, yeah, you want to try to lower that interest rate and get that rate as cheap as possible for your car. But for sure, you might be upside down on it. So even if you try to get out the car, try to sell it somewhere else, or maybe go to CarMax to see what offer they give you, it's going to be a difficult issue. But for the most part, Big Kev, we need to work on your credit ASAP, man. The faster we do that, the faster you'll be on your way to saving a ton of money and not paying more for a car that really isn't worth what that payment is, right? So hopefully that makes sense. AR asked, are you able to help with a garnishment from an old credit card that I stopped using in 2009? No, but I can definitely get you to a person that can, right? Keeping It Real with Credit channel has been around for a while, and I've been able to make a lot of connections and business with attorneys, with banks, with lenders. I have a huge arsenal of personnel that'll definitely be able to help you out. However, if that's still reporting on your credit report, that's where we come in, and it's a done deal. All right, AR. So feel free to call us for a free evaluation, 888-424-0058, option number 1. Hopefully that helps. Anaya, she asked, Florida is 5 years. Yep, we are in Florida. Yep, so it's definitely that. So yeah, that's a no-brainer. You shouldn't even have to communicate with them. Let us help you, or at the very least, do the evaluation so I can better assist you and better point you in the right direction. Again, whether you do business with us or not, I just would love to help. All right, but what you don't want to do is call them, go into any agreement with them, give account numbers, or pay anything. All right. Art Castillo, what's going on, man? Does it really matter to the DOJ, Department of Justice, and state if your credit repair company has the words credit repair in your business? Thank you, bro. Or when opening a bank account? Hey, that's a great question, man. So no, the DOJ or the state, I've never had an issue with it. There's companies down in Florida, especially with the word credit repair within their business name. However, our business, Score Shield Financial Group, we didn't decide to do that because we are more than credit repair, right? We're literally a one-stop shop when it comes to helping people out. So we have programs within our program that once you reach a certain credit score, we take you to another department or next level, like when it comes to mortgages, buying or leasing a car, and things like that, right? But having credit restoration at the pure foundation of everything else, right? And so, however, to your point, credit restoration companies, because of the type of clients that you deal with, right, with bad credit, with certain banks may not approve you when it comes to qualifying for a merchant, right, which is what you use to charge people. And so a lot of people will charge you a really crazy interest rate or just won't approve you at all. And so not having the word credit restoration on your name may help with that. However, eventually you're going to get a website and stuff like that. Lenders or merchants will investigate your business, see what your website is, read it. And if they see that you're actually a credit repair company, and you didn't divulge that, then they're going to shut you down, right? They'll close your merchant account, your fees, and then you won't be able to charge. And then, it's a challenging road. It's a challenging road. But for the most part, to me, it was well worth being able to help all of you guys for the past year so far, right? So great opportunity. But yeah, I don't think it really matters with the DOJ or the state. All right. I do have a book. Big Kev, what's going on, man? So I do have a book, guys. Let me go ahead and share that free ebook with you guys. Let me hook you guys up. So the free ebook that we've written is called 101 Tips Guaranteed to Boost Your Credit Score. 101 tips. It's about an 88-page book with a lot of information, a lot of knowledge on there. So guys, here's the link to that right there. That is the link to the free ebook. Other than that, guys, man, thank you guys for all your questions and for tuning in. It's definitely a lot of fun for this. I look forward to speaking to all of you guys when it comes to credit restoration and helping you guys out. But for the most part, thank you so much. And I look forward to speaking to you. And one more question, Big Kev just came in. One thing really quick. He says, nothing against you, but how do you verify a credible restoration company? I get scared from all the spam. Hey man, that's a great question. And I want to go ahead and finish this video based on that, man. I appreciate, and no offense taken, So first things first, right? When it comes to my company, because I get asked all that all the time, how do I know if you're legit and all the good stuff? Listen, guys, let's look at the obvious first, right? I have over 250,000 subscribers on YouTube, over 200K subscribers on YouTube. If I was doing something shady, why would I bring so much attention to me or my business with so many people, right? I would have been shut down a long time ago. That's for one. Two, there's something that's called the Credit Repair Organizations Act. That is governed by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. They put that law in place to make sure that credit restoration companies follow these rules. And you guys should know what those rules are, because when you're considering a credit restoration company, you need to know what rules they need to play by. So when you hear people saying that they guarantee results, that's a red flag, because you're not supposed to do that, right? Two, pay one-time payments up front before you do any work. That's a red flag. And it's crazy to me that I hear so many people out there charging people $2,000, $5,000, $1,000 up front one time. That's illegal, guys. That's illegal. Whether the guy can do it or not, it is illegal. And you need to ask yourself, why am I doing business with a company, right, that's not following the very rules and regulations by the government, right, for that, right? That's why we have a month-to-month thing, because we charge in arrears, meaning we dispute first, we charge you 30 days later for the work that was done previously. So we don't charge until work has already been done, right? We have tracking numbers for all the letters we send out. So we can prove the work, the letters. You're going to be getting results. In our business, we provide you with a dashboard portal that you get to log in from 24/7. That's why we have clients all over the nation, Alaska, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, everywhere. Online portal that gives you an exact snapshot as to what my processors are doing for you. My processors are all here in my office. They're not overseas anywhere. Like, I literally live, breathe, eat, and work with them on an everyday basis, right? So if there's any questions that you guys may have, I'm on it. And I'm literally there with them in the trenches, right? And there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things out there that we need to be looking out for. And for the most part, guys, look at reviews, right? Let me see on here. So look at reviews, right? So let me go ahead and put this link on here. Here's a link to some of our reviews on Google. Did I write that down correctly? Here we go. Oh yeah, it's a huge link. If you Google us, you put ScoreShield Financial Group, obviously you're gonna see little pop-up box in the middle where you can press a button to call and all that stuff. In there, you're gonna see the reviews. Actually, let me see if I can actually tap in here. No, it doesn't give me a direct link, but yeah, just Google ScoreShield Financial Group on there, and you'll be able to see that on there, right? Also, within our agreement, the way that our agreement is written, right? It's backed up by the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Credit Repair Organizations Act, right? All these things, and that's what I really try to teach. We're extremely affordable. Credit repair starting as little as $149.99, $149.99, and depending on how many negative items you have, there's a monthly service fee, an extremely affordable monthly service fee. And the difference between us and other companies is that we will dispute all items all at once on a month-to-month basis. We're not trying to keep you in our program a long time that by only disputing 5 out of 30 negative items, for example, right? All items all at once. That generates the quickest, the fastest results in the shortest amount of time. And unlike other businesses, we don't want your business back. Because if you do come back to us, then we did something wrong. Because on top of credit restoration, we also give you financial products. We also give you access to my resources when it comes to legal stuff, mortgages, cars, whatever the case may be. And on top of that, credit education via the channel and the more detailed credit knowledge that you get emailed on a daily basis. Man, we over communicate with all of you guys. So for the most part, guys, I mean, that's pretty much it, right? At the end of the day, when it comes to understanding credit, when it comes to looking for a company, whether it's for credit restoration or anything, you need to do your research. You need to be aware, and you need to be able to differentiate between the people that are just talking just to talk, or just trying to get your business just to get your business, and other people that are really truly trying to help with a black and white transparent approach. And that's who we are here at ScoreShield Financial. So guys, thank you guys so much for the love and support. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with family and friends, and on to the next episode on Keeping It Real with Credit. Peace. All right, guys, see you guys soon, and I look forward to speaking to all of you.